So I have finally watched the Super Mario Galaxy movie, and it is everything that I thought it would be, which is not a good thing. If you've been following my channel, you know that I had released a video going over my concerns for the Super Mario Galaxy movie, and with my intro in the title, you can tell that it is pretty much everything that I thought would happen. Pretty much every concern that I had actually did come to fruition. So general thoughts about the movie: was it a bad movie particularly? No, it wasn't a bad movie at all. There are absolutely aspects of the movie that I did enjoy, and it wasn't a terrible time watching the movie. I think that if you go into this movie expecting a Super Mario Galaxy movie, like the title says, you'll ultimately end up feeling kind of disappointed, as a lot of the movie doesn't even feel like it takes place in space since you're on these planets. In the game, a lot of the galaxies you traverse over these planetoids, and you still see the backdrop of space, making you feel like you're still exploring the galaxy. Whereas in this movie, I feel like the planets act a lot like Star Wars planets, where once you land on a planet, it's an entire ecosystem, and you don't really feel like it takes place in space even though you're visiting other planets. However, if you do go into this movie expecting just a grander adventure from the first Mario movie, I think you will have a good time. As for me though, I am a super fan of the Super Mario Galaxy games, so I'm going to be judging it off of that. A lot of the times people say to judge a movie for what it is and not what you want it to be, but I think with the title of the Super Mario Galaxy movie, it kind of pushes that to the side because you're inviting critique to compare the movie with the games. So like I said, there were actually aspects of this movie that I did enjoy, so let's go over the positives before I talk about the negatives. So first positive, right off the bat, the animation. I know this is a cheap shot. All of the Illumination movies have great animation, almost realistic lighting, and it really goes far in this movie specifically. Where some of these scenes, I swear, I could not tell if they were real or if they were actually animated. I really thought that some of these aspects were superimposed from real life into the movie and blended together so that you couldn't tell. But no, these are actually just straight up animated. Specifically one scene where Bowser is reading Bowser Jr. a bedtime story, and he has this puppet kind of thing going on where he's telling the story with the puppets. I could not tell if the puppets were real. That's how high fidelity this movie is. It just harkens back to the first movie where the water physics in that movie were absolutely incredible, where you really feel like the lighting and the water makes it feel real when it's not. So of course Illumination did a fantastic job with the animation. It goes far beyond just that one scene and animated extremely well to where it feels bright and colorful, cartoonish with the squish and squash. It's really incredible. And piggybacking off of that, my second positive of this movie was the action. This movie blows the first movie out of the water. Seriously, this is insane action, like Marvel type action. Like, it was insane. I could not believe what I was watching. The first fight with Bowser Jr. and Mario and Luigi, oh my god, they had actual choreography. Yo, they were making moves that were insane, like Spider-Man type moves, man. It was crazy. And that's the action with the entire movie. The Bowser Jr. scene, the Peach scene in the casino level where she's just mowing through all the ninjas. It was crazy. And the final fight with the power-ups where Mario, Luigi, and Yoshi all use the power-ups to defeat Dry Bowser. They cooked with those fight scenes. I couldn't have asked for better action. And speaking of Bowser Jr., that is my third positive of this movie. I think Bowser Jr. was an incredible addition. I was very skeptical of Bowser Jr.'s inclusion in this movie, but he is actually a formidable enemy. Like, he's honestly tougher than Bowser. He is more capable, more competent than Bowser himself. Where he's taken on Mario and Luigi and Yoshi all at the same time by himself. Taking on Rosalina, who is basically a cosmic god in this adaptation. He even builds the Eggman Land equivalent of the Bowser Planet, or Planet Bowser, I think they call it in the movie, all by himself. Obviously, he's commanding his army, but still, he does that all by himself, and he even rescues his father all by himself. He is very, very competent. I guess that's kind of a double-edged sword, because honestly, I really wish that Bowser himself was as competent as Bowser Jr., his son. Whereas in the games, Bowser Jr. is more of a nuisance than an actual threat to Mario. But Bowser, that's the big bad. And in this movie adaptation, it's kind of reversed, where Bowser is kind of the nuisance, but Bowser Jr., that is the real threat. So yeah, I do want to praise Bowser Jr., but I kind of wish that his characterization was more instilled into Bowser himself. The fourth positive that I want to talk about is the twist. So if you have not seen the movie yet, I definitely recommend you skip this section. But there is a twist in the movie, specifically with Peach, and if you watch the movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm going to give a spoiler warning. 3, 2, 1. As it turns out, Peach is actually the sister of Rosalina, which I feel like piggybacks off of the game theory that was published of Peach and Mario being Rosalina's parents. And obviously it's not exactly the same because, again, Rosalina and Peach are sisters. But I did not see that coming, and I genuinely was shocked at that twist. And I enjoyed it because we did not get answers to Peach's backstory in the first movie. Unfortunately, like my praise for Bowser Jr., it is a double-edged sword. I don't really feel like that's a satisfying backstory, how Rosalina and Peach were just made of cosmic stardust out of nowhere. It kind of just feels like a forced inclusion, almost like an afterthought, especially considering that Rosalina is far older than Peach. If they were born at the same time, it really wouldn't make sense, I feel like. And then that plays into how Princess Daisy is going to be involved and where did she come from. It just makes the story a little convoluted where it doesn't need to be. But all in all, the twist was pretty cool, and I definitely think it's a welcome inclusion, especially for this movie that wants to do things differently. I think it's totally fine. Fifth, we have Fox McCloud, and I know I talked about this in my last video, and I was concerned about him. He does have a big screen time, but I want to talk about the positives first before I go into the negatives. I really liked the characterization of Fox. He did lean a little bit too silly for my taste, but all in all, I really did like his characterization. I thought he was really cool. I loved how he was an ace pilot, just like the games. And bro was just straight up aura farming the entire movie, seriously. I did not expect Glenn Powell to be voicing Fox. I think he did incredible. I love his voice for Fox McCloud. I think it's great, honestly. I had no problems with it. I'm not the biggest fan of Glenn Powell's works in other movies, but as a voice actor, he did his thing, I'm not gonna lie. And lastly is the music. Again, this is also a double-edged sword because we did get a couple of licensed songs in the movie, which I think you just did not need. I think every single track in Super Mario Galaxy's OST is a banger. I did a whole video on that, so go watch that. The title card will be somewhere here. But I was very happy to hear that they used songs straight up from the game in this movie. But I feel like in some instances it didn't really go with each other. Like, I think that they had Battle Rock Galaxy in the movie, but there was no Battle Rock Galaxy itself, which leads me to my negatives of this movie. And there are a lot. Again, I am going at this from a perspective of someone who really enjoys the Super Mario Galaxy games, who was expecting a Super Mario Galaxy adaptation, straight up getting as much references as possible from the games into this movie. And sadly to say, I knew this was gonna happen. There were no Galaxies. In the Super Mario Galaxy movie, there are no Galaxies from the games in this movie. Not one. And I know what you're thinking, Japes, there was Gateway Galaxy. No, there was not Gateway Galaxy. Gateway Galaxy is not an airport. Actually, it wasn't even an airport. It was more like a space shuttle where it doesn't even launch you to other galaxies. That would have been at least pretty cool. No, it's a place for people that have starships to land and dock their star cruisers until they need to fly out. I'm just like, this is not Galaxy. And also, yes, they do go to Honey Hive Galaxy, but that is not Honey Hive Galaxy. You see the bees maybe for like 2 seconds in the movie. You see Queen Bee trying to talk to Bowser, and I just like, it's not Honey Hive. I'm sorry, it's just not. When you have a planet that pretty much looks like the Mushroom Kingdom, with only flowers, that is not Honey Hive Galaxy, my friend. It looks no different visually from places that we've seen before. If you're gonna do a Super Mario Galaxy movie, go all out. Do different aesthetics and atmospheres that we have not seen before. If we are going to different planets, why are we going to a planet that looks identical to the Mushroom Kingdom? It makes no sense. It just doesn't give me the same sense of wonder that I love in the games. Especially when we get to Gateway Galaxy with Peach, I feel like they were setting something up that was incredible. Oh, we're gonna get launched to a different galaxy from Gateway Galaxy, but now we have to do a side bit where she follows a monkey through a portal, and it's all indoors and underground, and it's like, where is the sense of vastness in this Mario Galaxy movie? It feels so tiny when you compare it to the games. Again, if you have a movie called Super Mario Galaxy, go to the freaking Galaxies, guys. Like, what are we doing? My second negative of this movie is Rosalina's screen time. I was very critical of this in my last video, and I knew from the beginning that this was going to be an issue where we only got one scene of Rosalina in both trailers. And I was like, I know that we're not going to have enough screen time, especially with the vast amount of characters that are present in the movie. We barely get to see Rosalina in this movie, and she is the star of the Mario Galaxy game. So I cannot understand why they would kind of throw her to the wolves in this movie when it's basically her movie. She was present for the intro, and I really don't like her characterization. I talked about this in my last video again, where she's fighting Mega Legs by herself and she has all this cosmic power. It just does not give Rosalina, who is in the games, who is this stoic figure, who cares for the children and is very much intertwined with destiny itself. She is someone that looks over the galaxy and doesn't protect it in the way that Mario or other heroes would. If you want the technical terms, I very much see Rosalina as a character that is neutral good, where she doesn't interject herself in other people's destinies, but watches and gives guidance from afar. And it is what it is there, but going back to her screen time, again, she was only there for the intro, and a little bit at the end where Peach rescues her. She is gone for essentially the entire movie, and that, I feel like, is a major disservice to the character. My third negative for this movie is the and then type of writing in this story. I like when things happen for a reason, and it feels like the writers just want things to happen beat by beat, and it's not cohesive enough for me. For example, in the end scene, we get Mario and Luigi and Yoshi fighting Dry Bowser and Bowser Jr., and each time Bowser powers up, there's a power up for Mario to power up himself even further and go beyond. And it just feels like these are plot conveniences. It's not real stakes in this fight. He just finds another power-up and beats him. It's just not the style that I would prefer. And the second plot convenience that I can remember is when they are stranded after being shot down by Bowser Jr.'s armada. They are stranded on this planet, and Luigi tries to radio the cosmos, the entire cosmos, by the way. And somehow, the Lumas pick up Luigi's signal when they weren't even tuned to that radio station. It just happened to be at the exact same frequency. And the Lumas are like, Luigi is stranded? Alright, well, where do you think Luigi is? Like, how did you know where to find Luigi? It just makes no sense. It's just plot convenience and rushing of the story. I did not like or enjoy that aspect of the movie at all. My fourth negative of this movie, I'm starting to lose track, honestly. I don't know if it's number 4 or number 3. I think we're on the fourth one. The fourth one is Bowser's half-baked redemption arc. What are we doing, guys? Bowser is the big bad of this movie franchise. Why are we trying to make him into a hero that wants to help Mario and Luigi? He has no incentive to do this. I do not care what you say that Luigi and him were spending time together off screen, by the way, in a book club. In a book club. That's what we're doing. We're going to use artificial plot points that go against the integrity of the character and say that Bowser has been going to therapy and going to book club and trying to reinvent himself. Brother, do you know how stupid that sounds? And we are in a universe where a plumber is defeating a giant turtle. Like, it's just so dumb, man. But the worst part about it is that they don't go through with that. If you're going to have that be a part of Bowser's character in this movie, then have him help out Mario and Luigi in the end and do something heroic, instead of him just having these attributes and then halfway through the movie, Bowser Jr. is like, you gotta stick with family, man. And he's just like, you know what, son? You're right. I think I'm gonna go with family. I'm gonna be evil again. I'm Like, bro, what are we doing? It's just so stupid. It wastes everybody's time. Like, I would much have rather Mario hit Bowser and he becomes big again and then betrays them straight off the bat. Like, I would have much rather that. Which was also stupid in the movie because Bowser was just rage baiting Mario and he was dumb enough to actually hit him into his bigger form. Like, dog. The most obvious rage bait of all time, and you fell for that. And the fifth negative that I have about this movie is the reference slop. I cannot stand when a movie is chock full of references, yet the story is lacking. If you're going to have a movie chock full of references, you better have an important message to tell, or just make the writing good. That's it. That's the bare minimum. You don't even need to do all the extra stuff. Just make the story good. And it doesn't feel like it pushes the envelope in any sort of way. I think the first movie story was better, and I didn't even like the first movie story that much. It's just the typical hero's journey, and we don't really get too much more than that. And I think the second movie fails even more at that, where these characters are themselves, but they're just going through the motions of defeating Bowser and rescuing a princess. It doesn't really feel like a proper sequel, where we're getting more character arcs. The most interesting character in this entire movie was Peach herself, where she's trying to discover where she came from and reconnect with her family. That's it, man. That's literally it. I just don't think the references were worth sacrificing all the characterization that we could have got with Rosalina being a part of the story instead of being an afterthought. And the Lumas themselves. The Lumas are so important to the story, and they get just as much screen time as Rosalina herself. They're there for the intro, and they're there halfway, actually more than halfway, through the movie, and they all come together and do nothing. That's it. Baby Luma doesn't go with Mario on the journey. At least that could have been a plot point too. I just feel like this is not the Mario movie or the Mario Galaxy movie for me. Also, with the reference slop, they committed a huge sin in my book where they constantly reference the Space Junk Galaxy. That is like the main plot point of Princess Peach's story, where she needs to get to Space Junk Galaxy in order to find Rosalina. And when they finally get there, guess what? It was just a name drop, because there is no Space Junk Galaxy in this movie. Like, Space Junk Galaxy is one of the most iconic galaxies in the entire franchise. If not the galaxy itself, the music sure as hell is, and there were neither of those. Why would you constantly tease an actual Super Mario Galaxy and not pay it off? It just feels like they had no intention of making a Super Mario Galaxy movie, which makes no sense because that is the title of the movie. That's what I keep going back to, but it's true. I'm getting tired of saying it, guys. If you are going to make a Super Mario Galaxy movie, repeat after me, include the galaxies from the game. Like, this movie is the epitome of the hype moments and aura for me, and it just does not work. And that's it. And at the end of the day, y'all could be like, you know what, Japes? You are being way too hard on this movie. I feel like you couldn't come up with a better one yourself. And to that I say, I am coming up with a better one myself. Before the movie even came out, I had already written an entire pre-write of the movie, so I will absolutely be making videos on that movie and that script. I had planned to release it before the movie came out, but it was just going to take way too long. Writing the script itself took a ton of time, so I am finally excited to announce that I am going to be rewriting the Super Mario Galaxy, which I've done a ton of rewrites before. I've done the Knuckles Show rewrite and the Sonic Movie 3 rewrite. I am very excited to do a rewrite for a franchise that is not Sonic the Hedgehog. I will be releasing 3 parts of that video. The first will be Act 1, second will be Act 2, and third will be obviously Act 3. And in this rewrite, it will remedy every complaint that I had about this movie. So definitely stay tuned to that. Thank you guys very much for watching today. If you liked the video, make sure to give it a like. Definitely hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on my Super Mario Galaxy rewrites or any other videos that I do in the future. After the rewrite, I definitely plan to focus more on Sonic the Hedgehog, so make sure to stick around. Also, let me know what you guys thought of the Mario Galaxy movie down in the comments below. I will respond to every single one of you guys. Thank you guys so much again. Thank you for 1,390 subscribers. My name is Japes, and I hope to see you in the next one. Take care.